Hey guys, it is Sweeps Weeks here on the Extreme channel. What does that mean? Just coincidentally, I am opening amazing statue after amazing statue almost every single day this week. And to make it a little bit fun, each day I'll drop some hints on what the next day's video is going to be. But for now, let's look at this custom Ghostrider on bike statue. Hey guys, if you're new to the channel, my name is Mr. X and this is the Extreme channel. However, if you've been following the channel for a long time, you know this has been a highly anticipated custom collectible. So this is a custom, means it was a private unlicensed commission. They only made 60 of these, 1/4 scale Ghostrider on bike. And the reason why this is so exciting, there's currently only one other Ghostrider on bike statue out there, at least in the larger scales. This guy right here, made by XM Studios, which I also own. Believe it or not, even though I'm not a huge fan of Ghostrider, other than his appearance, I have a third Ghostrider statue that I've reviewed. Check this piece out right here. Well, today we're going to focus on this one. In a week or two, we are actually going to do an Extrumble. That's right, it's an Extreme Rumble. We'll put all three of them on the table, compare, contrast, and see which one is the best. But I've been waiting for this guy for a very long time, and I was lucky enough to get on it. Highly sought after, and you can see why just by looking at it. I'm really initially impressed, guys, and I think you will be too when we dive into this review. But before we do that, we are so close to our next giveaway. Check it out. To win one of these Mortal Kombat statues, all you have to do is comment on a video. At 15,000 subscribers, I'm going to pick a random video and pick a random comment. That person will win the prize. They can choose between these two pieces. Also, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. So let's just dive right in. And as I assembled him, I got to tell you, I was so excited and so frustrated at the same time. We'll talk about that in design, but first thing I want to cover is concept of this piece. So they had to come out of the gate making a Ghostrider on bike, and they had to make it more dynamic, cooler, more exciting than that XM Studios one. And today we're going to find out if they did it. Let's take a look. So on the bottom they have a black museum-like sub-base. And with this they have some homage to Ghostrider, some of the spikes coming out that you typically see on his jacket. We'll talk more about that later. Then the regular base is not only this huge piece of concrete with lava and fire all over it. Clearly it's on the city and it has flames from the bike. But on the back side, you'll actually see later, there's a little bit of an Easter egg, which I think is phenomenal. And this is a very dynamic, this is, in my opinion, maybe a little more dynamic than XM Studios, but it is different. So he clearly just screeched to a halt with his bike. He kind of turned it, maybe he left some treads behind or treads of fire, and he is bracing himself, bracing the entire bike up, and this bike is classic Ghostrider. You can't even tell much machinery in here other than a few parts we'll look at when we get to paint and sculpt. Ghostrider is sitting on top of him, extremely badass. There's two different portrait options, which I love, and we'll talk more about that in design. He has this classic whip and chain, and instead of a spike on the end, it's actually kind of like a mace ball. You'll see that actually near the bottom. But I love the dynamic aspect of this statue. I love the fire all over. I love the classic Ghostrider. The concept here is awesome. You know, XM Studios, I gave theirs a 5 out of 5. And I do think one is better. I'm not going to tell which one, but I think the concept on this is also a 5 out of 5 or an X on the extreme scale. On this, some crazy stuff went down that frustrated the hell out of me, but I still don't think it takes away from some of the awesomeness. So first, let's look at the unboxing. So it was two large boxes. One is actually what we're going to unbox tomorrow. Both of them had a decent art box on the top and classic straps. Now this was your super messy foam. It was all over the place. Took me forever to clean up, but there are 4 layers. Here's the first. Second in the first box was the base. And I'm doomed because here is the first layer of the second box, but I totally forgot to take a picture of the next layer, and I'm actually missing a piece we'll talk about. So I want to talk about that a little bit more. The dynamic design of this was incredibly intelligent, although it was difficult to put together. So you have the wheel sitting in here, which sits into the bars, which sit into the bike, which sits into Ghostrider, who sits into the ground, and they kind of all have to connect at the same time. And if that's not crazy enough, you have the huge chain coming around the back here. And it technically almost looks like it's floating, even though it's secured with the ball touching the ground here. And this is movable. So there is tons of crazy design stuff going on here. And one thing you see at the front here, they actually have a bust display or a second portrait display. So you can display both portraits. And let's look at those. So first right here is the one with the mouth closed. I'm not a fan of this. I probably will never use it, but it's cool that I have a bust display and I will display it with it. Then the other one is the open mouth screaming one. And not only is this one badass, but it has a light up feature. Check this out. I think with this and XM Ghostrider, there is a winner as well, which we'll talk about during that video. Then also for design, I want to look at this Easter egg on the back. It's almost like a prison or a jail or a sewer with skulls behind it. Check this out. Look how cool that is. I love the fact they added that. So that way, if you made this a centerpiece, which this statue may demand being a centerpiece, you could actually see that as well. What would have been over the top is if there was a light up feature in there. I think that would have been awesome. Now another thing you saw I thought was smart for breakage purposes, these little spikes all go in via very strong magnet. Everything was secured pretty well. Some of the frustrations were finding out where stuff went because I had no reference material. There's not a lot of pictures of this guy up. I actually had to message the producer of this and ask him where these little guys, these little lava aspects go, and I never would have figured that out in a million years. Then also too, what was really frustrating, I spent about 90 minutes looking for what goes back here. Check this out. There's an empty missing spot. And I don't want to be one of those customers that just lost it or is too stupid to find it. So I made sure I searched high and low all over my house. I tore out the boxes even though I put them back, before I messaged the commissioner saying, hey, they forgot it, because I'm positive they did. And of course, he's going to take care of me. He's taken care of me before when small issues happen, so I appreciate that. But it was still frustrating. And I did have some breakages. Check these out, but thankfully I was able to find them. And these will be some easy fixes. Just put some glue in there and no one will ever know. So a more dynamic piece should take 30 minutes to assemble. This took over an hour probably with everything said and done, plus the additional time that I was actually looking for that missing piece. But I'm so happy that he's assembled now. Everything fits really well. I'm not too worried about any futuristic leaning issues, simply for the fact that everything is keyed in very smartly, but that always is a little bit of a risk. The frustration things I talked about are the fact that there's no light up feature. I don't think that really takes away any points from it. But just because I'm so uncertain of the future of this design, I give the design a 4 out of 5. It's still incredibly done, incredibly ambitious. Hopefully it stands the test of time and always holds up with no leaning issues. Now we're going to dive into paint and sculpt, and I want to do a video for you guys because there's some things I think that I would have improved myself. There's some things I think that are better on XM. We'll talk more about that in that upcoming video. But let's just take a look. I wanted to do a video because I think pictures don't do this justice, and honestly a video probably doesn't either. But I like what they did with the portrait display here, the bust display. It almost looks like the front grille of a motorcycle they used, and then they had the flames. We'll talk more about the flames on the main piece. But this is the secondary portrait. I think it looks really good. Like, I love what they did with the skull. It's kind of where it kind of turns into the fire, and the fire is not really separate from it. And then I love the colors that they used. The red in the eyes, the brown, how decrepit it looks. And you'll see that on the other portrait as well. The black museum sub base looks great. Like I said, I like that homage to his outfit. Take a look at this. You can see some lava inside. It almost looks like it is lit up a little bit. Some great looking skulls on the bottom. I love the texture and the concrete they did. I think it looks really good. I like the coloring on it. I like how it's kind of broken up and laid on each other, like he's torn up the street. Really nice job. Not a huge fan of the yellow paint they used right there for that part of the fire. I think that could have been better. And probably the worst part of the statue right here is this lava. Not a fan. I mean, I know what it was supposed to be, but I almost wish they would have done just pure fire down there. Again, that yellow, I'm just not digging that. And then let's look at the fire. Some areas, the fire looks great. A lot of areas it actually looks great, like especially on the wheel here. And the lighting does affect it quite a bit. But some of the areas when you zoom in, the paint's kind of sloppy right there. Some micro details. And that's, you know, it's incredibly difficult to do when you're going to try and mix red and yellow and orange all at the same time. So I think the concept of it was good, but the execution on the factory paint, far from perfect. But it still looks good. It does give that realistic look of fire. I like how the fire is all around his chain. His chain looks really good considering I believe it's plastic. Can't really tell. But again, this is where you see some of that sloppy paint where it meets the chain. I like how they give it a little bit of a golden yellow. And then let's look at the back tire here in the flames. It's good, it's just not amazing in my opinion. But the bike is amazing. I love how the bike looks like a transfigured piece of whatever. So there's still a few motorcycle parts in there, but I like how it's transformed really into Ghostrider's bike. Now, this is where they have a ton of gray and black, including the base if you think about it, but it still looks really good together. So I think that differentiation is good. Some more shots of the bike here for you guys, because the bike is amazing. Ghostrider's outfit, they have a little bit of scorned yellow on it, and the rest is obviously the black color. It looks good, it looks average. Some of the folds, I don't understand why they are where they are. It's almost like too many folds. But I'd say the sculpt on Ghostrider's outfit is probably the weakest part of the sculpt, but it's still good. It doesn't look as real leather as I've seen in others. Spikes look awesome. I like what they did with the paint on the spikes. You know, you don't want Ghostrider looking new, so there's some fadedness to this. Kind of a really cool Easter egg here. They have another Easter egg, 666 miles. So that's the odometer. That's awesome. And then let's look at this portrait. Amazing. This portrait is amazing. A lot of the same things I said about the past one, but with his mouth open, just looks more fierce and goes along with the concept of the piece better. Very impressive piece overall, both the paint and sculpt despite some of the opportunities. All right, so again, as I kind of talked about, I think the weakness on the paint is the fire. It doesn't look bad. It just doesn't look as good as what I've seen in the past. I almost wish they would have went with the translucent resin where the light up feature is a little bit more, because maybe the paint job wouldn't been almost as, it looks a little sloppy in a few places. And I think you saw that where it's kind of caked on in the flames. But overall, I mean, 6 inches back, I can get past a lot of that. I think it's a big controversy between people whether they want translucent or painted fire, where the original XM Studios Ghostrider, I know I keep referring to that as one of the first statues that they ever did that on. The rest of the paint I really like. I like the concrete. I like Ghostrider himself. The lava, I think, reminds me of that game Fireball Island. And on the chain here, like I said, I don't know if that was intentional. So I think the paint's good. It's 3 out of 5. And a lot of people ask me, why is 3 out of 5 good? It's because we pay a lot of money for this and we expect it to be good. Sculpt, I love the sculpt on this. I think the weakest part of the sculpt is the clothing. And again, it's still very good. I would say even above average. But the bike, the flames, the portrait, the base here, fantastic. I think the sculpt's a 4 out of 5 on this. So last we're going to talk about value on this piece. So this cost around $2,000 US plus shipping. Crazy. Which the going price of the competitor is similar. But that's a lot of money to pay. However, I think this is an amazing Ghostrider statue. It still has its unique points. Again, trying not to give away spoilers of the next video we're going to do. And there's only 60 of them. I think I can definitely get my money back pretty easily. Shipping was a lot. I think it was around $400 or $500, but with the huge 2 boxes you saw, that's not really a big deal nowadays. Great collectible. I think to any Ghostrider collector, this would easily be a $3,000 piece. So I think the value is good on this, but that's still a big price tag for a 1/4 scale piece, despite how dynamic and big it is. So I'm really torn on the value. I think it's between a 3 and a 4. It's good, and it might even be better, but I'm going to put it in the category of a 3 just because there is a competitor out there that people may want to go for and save some money. So finally, does this have the X factor? Is this a 5 out of 5 statue? Is it amazing? Does it turn your head? Or as a reminder, that's not a cumulative score. This is a 5 out of 5 statue. I would hesitate to use the word grail, but I think I'm going to be opening a lot of grails this week, and this may be one. It's a 5 out of 5 for sure for me. This is amazing. I think people really want it. You know, when they first showed the renders of this, a lot of people are like, are they going to be able to execute? Damn straight they did, and they did a fantastic job. Very impressed by this piece. Very happy to have him in my collection. So today, throw in the comments what you think of him. I don't want you to put down whether you like this or XM better. We'll do that in the next video. But just let me know, because every time you comment, it increases your chance in that giveaway that is probably less than a week away. We are giving away these two Mortal Kombat statues by PCS, one at the 15,000 sub giveaway, the other at 17,500. To enter, just comment on this video. This is one of the videos we may pick for a random comment. Also, make sure you have liked this video, you subscribe to the channel, and you've hit that bell notification. Make sure to hit that Mr. X logo because, like I said, it's sweeps week. There's statues that I think will even unseat this one coming in later this week, and maybe multiple ones. But for now, check out some of these other custom statue reviews, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Take care.